Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel, and today we are actually going to be talking about something very, very different. We're going to be talking about starting a new hobby, that hobby being painting. Now, just a little bit of a backstory. I've been drawing and painting since I was literally a little girl. I've always used acrylic paints. I have taken numerous painting classes. I did it all throughout school, college, everything, and it's always just been a little bit of a hobby of mine, but obviously it has influenced my entire life because I became a professional makeup artist from it. I draw all the time. I now paint all the time again. I'm kind of like just starting to get back into it now because I have seen so many acrylic artists on TikTok, and I'm like, oh my god, I really want to paint. And as you know, I went on a bunch of trips last year and I have all of these beautiful photos that I took, and I'm like, you know what? I really want to paint some of that scenery. So I went in and I pulled out my inner Bob Ross and I painted some of the photographs that I took. Talk about like full circle, all immersive Jen Daminger art here, okay? I took the trip, I took the photo, I came home, I have the photos, and now I'm painting them on a canvas. Like, oh, it's just nothing like that fulfilling feeling of being an artist and like just all around it being your art, basically. So this is the part one of a new series that I'm gonna start, and it's gonna be basically how to start a hobby and how to start a hobby in the like artistic world. And right now I'm in just like this crazy painting mode because I've been laid off from all of my jobs, and of course it's slow season because we're in the dead of winter, and it's just like I have nothing else better to do. So I'm like, let me just like channel all of that artistic like love inside of my body and let me just pour it out onto a canvas. A lot of you have been commenting and messaging me saying like how much I inspire you to do art and kind of like get in touch with your artistic self, and I'm like, first of all, that makes me feel amazing, and second of all, I want to give back to you guys by teaching you guys how I got started in art. And again, this is a natural talent of mine. I have a natural ability to create art. That doesn't mean you can't learn to do art, or you can't, you know, practice as much as possible to find your inner style of art. This is mine. If yours doesn't look as good as mine, it doesn't matter. There is no good in the art world to me. To me, the art world is everyone's personal style, and it really shines a light on you know, what we prefer to create, but also what we prefer to be around, what we prefer to hang in our house, on our walls, and what makes us happy, and you know, things like that. Like there's such a psychology behind art, and that's also probably why I love art so much. I do have a psych background as well. I have a psych degree, so I'm like, what better way to like finally use my psych degree, right? By like sharing all of this art knowledge with you guys. Like, actually, I don't know. I mean, I was gonna be an art therapist at one point, and I'm like, probably should have done that now that I'm not making any money. I don't really have any jobs. Enough of my sap story. I'm gonna teach you guys how to art. I'm gonna teach you guys how I got started with painting, and today we're gonna go over all of the material that I use to paint. There is a multitude of things that you can use to paint with, to create art with. This is just what I've been using recently and what I prefer to use. Again, there are so many brands out there. I know not everyone has the same arts and crafts stores that I have. You can absolutely use whatever you're comfortable with. Also, I realize that being an artist is expensive. Not only do you pretty much not make any money in art unless you obviously are a makeup artist or a famous artist or creating content and have a really great backing on social media, but you're really not gonna make any art if you're just at home painting and just doing it for the love of it. And I understand that you have to buy a lot of things to create and become an artist. So you can absolutely do this on a budget, and I'm absolutely gonna show you guys how to do that. Let's get into it. First things first, I paint with acrylic paint. There's oil paint, there's watercolor paints, there's gouache out there, which is like kind of, or gouache. I think it's gouache. Anyway, it's like a more vibrant version of watercolor paints. Yes, I say wooder. I'm from South Jersey, right outside Philly. Like, we say wooder, like, back up off me. So there's gouache, which is a version of watercolor. There's literally so many things out there now that you can paint with and you can create with, like, whatever. Whatever you want to use, go for it. Right now, we're going to be talking about acrylic paint because that's my medium that I like to work with and what I'm currently working with just recently. So first things first, as you can see on the table right here, I have an easel. The easel that I have is from Winsor & Newton. Winsor & Newton is a pretty popular brand in the art world. They create a ton of art like materials for artists. I've had this easel for literally 20 years. Oh my God, I just made myself feel really freaking old. Oh my God. I'm gonna show you guys how this easel works. I have a canvas on here right now because I'm gonna actually start painting today. This easel actually folds up. It is a tabletop easel. So I personally like a tabletop. I do not have a very large house. I don't have any extra studio space. So I'm like, you know what? I mean, I could use my studio at my office, but to have to travel there every day, just like, no. Like whenever I would wanna paint, like sometimes I just paint to paint and I don't even know that I'm gonna paint that day. Ow! So how this easel works is it actually can be carried around with you, can be folded up. It has a handle on the top. Oh God. Oh, the struggle is so real right now. It has a handle on the top so you can just carry it around with you. It has a drawer right here that comes out that you can actually keep a ton of your, I don't know why don't I keep my supplies in here? I should really keep more supplies in there. Anyway, it has a drawer on the side of it that actually hooks and shut so it doesn't obviously fall open. So you can keep some supplies in there. You just put it on any flat tabletop surface. And then there are little screws that just kind of like, ooh. And then on this side right here, there's a little hook that you want, or a latch that you want to unlatch so that the actual easel part doesn't come up and fall down. So in here, there are these little screws that you just want to tighten till you get it, you kind of just get it to the angle that you want and tighten these screws on the inside. Hello, how are you? You're the sweetest baby boy. And then these guys, there's a bottom one here. And then the actual portions that hold the canvas here and here actually move up and down so you can fit any size canvas. Now, this is not gonna fit a very like large canvas. The largest canvas that I've worked with is this guy right here, which I think is, what is that one? 11 by 14. What is this one? Crap. I don't know. I'm gonna have to put it down in the description box, which everything will be listed down in the description box. Granted, I've had this for 20 years, so I don't even know if like it's still available or not, but I will try to find I'm sure you could probably find something like on Amazon now that's way cheaper and just as good. Back in the day, we didn't have Amazon. We did, but we didn't order like everything in our lives from it. So this came from like an actual like art supply website that my parents purchased for me. I got this for Christmas one year when I was a lot younger. There's screws on the back of this portion that hold your canvas and you get it to the height that you want. And then you actually just tighten this till it tightens all the way and hold your canvas. So let me throw this guy on, but I'm not gonna tighten it too much because I actually wanna take this canvas off and show you guys. So there you go. And it'll hold your canvas right here. I'm at my kitchen table. Again, I don't have the space in my house to like have an extra studio or anything. So I paint right at my kitchen table, in my kitchen, in my dining room, and I always have a mess here and I've completely ruined my kitchen table, but I don't really care because, well, I'm an artist and I'd rather be creating, so. So typically, let's talk about the canvas that you're gonna put on your easel. So I have two different craft stores that I go to literally within a couple miles of my house that I purchase all of my canvas from. Again, I grew up without purchasing everything off of Amazon. I'm sure Amazon has crazy deals on canvases, which I will do some research for you guys, and you guys can absolutely go on to Amazon and I'll link some down below, which I think are at least decent quality. I purchase my canvases in value packs. So I like to stick to 11 by 14 or, damn it, what is the size of this canvas? Maybe 19 by 20 something maybe? I don't know, but I like to stay within that range of that size canvas. Anything bigger literally gives me anxiety. One day I'll work up to it, but I'm sticking to like the 11 by 14, even 8 by 10s, and then whatever the hell this side, I think one side is 19 and the other side is like, other side is like 20 something maybe. That's about as big as it's gonna get for me for right now. I purchase everything in packs, so they will come in packs. This is a 2-pack that I got for $5. It was on clearance for $5, and this is the Fine Touch, which I use this brand a lot. I love the Fine Touch. I also love Master Touch. Again, all of this information will be down below in the description box. But I love, love, love these canvases. I also have purchased them. I think some of them come in like 8-packs. You can literally get your canvases in value packs, and they're only like, I think the value packs that I saw on sale last week were like $10.99 maybe for like a pack of like 10 of them. Like super cheap. Canvas is not gonna be your expensive area. It's gonna be probably the one of the most cheapest things that you buy when starting to paint. So make sure you look for good deals. Always make sure you get in value packs if you think you're gonna be doing tons of painting. I always get square or rectangle canvases, but they have circle, they have oval, they have all different kinds of shapes now too, which I love. I'll definitely be purchasing different shaped canvases, but do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Right now I'm just practicing on like rectangles. Like, can we please start from the bottom and work our way up, okay? Like, okay, so next up, what you wanna have when you start painting is paintbrushes. So let's get to the paintbrushes. Paintbrushes, just like any other brushes, you guys know I have hundreds of makeup brushes. Paintbrushes are your tools. They're the bridge between you and your canvas and the creations that you create. So they are definitely going to be more expensive. However, you can still do it on a budget. They have value packs of like just the name brand store that you're in. They absolutely are perfect. Do not feel like you have to buy each brush individually, one at a time. I do when they go on sale. I'll maybe buy tops like 2 or 3 of them to add to my collection. However, please do not feel pressured to purchase each brush individually because it definitely doesn't need to be done that way. Absolutely buy like the little kids like value pack paintbrushes to start with, especially if you're just practicing. I've recently gotten a lot of brushes. Like this thing doesn't even close anymore. This brush container that I have, it used to close, but not anymore. Not since recently when I just started painting. So especially like these big guys here. These are from Master Touch, which Master Touch is my personal favorite when it comes to paintbrushes. I love these. This is also Master Wash as well. This is a 1.5 wash. I love these big guys because I always start with the background first, and I want to make sure I really get that background down before I start adding the scenery to it. So having a couple of these big guys is really great, but again, you do not have to get the Master Touch brand right away. You can absolutely get like the cheapest version and start that way just to practice. But eventually, absolutely upgrade to some really good brushes because these brushes are, they are my babies. They are. You do not need any kind of like specific shape of brush. Me personally, if I were you, I would absolutely get a flat head, and it doesn't have to be an angled one. It can just be a regular one. I like the flats and the angled brushes. Personally, I just think they're really great, and they're good to get like edges and things like that. And then you definitely want to have maybe something like this. This is a mop brush. This one, this is an oval mop, just so you guys know. This is really good for any kind of like soft texture and blending colors together in between the seams of colors. So something like this, like a fluffy brush, is really great as well. And then obviously like your little tiny detail brushes. So this little guy, this doesn't even have, does it have a name? Oh my God. It's like so worn off for me painting, but like little detail brushes. I also like these guys. This is like my favorite brush. I also love these guys, like your pointed brushes that kind of really, like your oval pointed brushes that really you can get good detail with. Also these flat guys, so like just like this, I always want to say like eyeshadow brush. Like this guy definitely looks like an eyeshadow brush, but this is just like your flat circular oval paintbrush. So again, this is really great for blending edges and things like that. So really just get your variety of brushes when you're starting. Again, they have value packs that you can get with all these different shapes and sizes, and you can get them probably well under $20, like well under 20. So just make sure, if you're just starting out painting, make sure that you get a variety of different shapes and sizes, and then you're gonna find out what you like to paint with as you kind of go on. And it depends on if you're an abstract artist, if you're landscape or more realistic. And it also depends on the type of paint you're painting with. So obviously there are brushes that are specific to watercolor. Watercolor is going to be using a ton of, like, they have a lot of more natural hairs, bristles. We could get really into this, okay? But stick to a more synthetic hair. This is like a synthetic hair. They're really soft and just kind of flexible. They're easy to work with and really easy to clean. And then you have like your more natural hairs, which are a little bit harder to clean and keep kind of like shaped very nice. So you definitely want to make sure, oh God, it's shedding right now. You definitely want to make sure that you wash these out right away and lay them flat to dry. So I personally, even when I do makeup, I like synthetic brushes. I've always liked synthetic brushes. I just prefer them. They're a lot easier to work with. They're a lot smoother. But again, you want to make sure that you get a variety of these brushes. They come in value packs, okay? And you want to make sure that you're just kind of like testing them out and seeing what you prefer, because again, this is all personal preference. It really comes down to what type of paint you're going to be painting with and what you just feel comfortable with, honestly. So as you can see, yes, I have a ton of brushes. Most of them are synthetic and they're all different shapes and sizes. So if you guys have any questions at all, please put them down in the comments so that I can answer them, because I could go on about brushes literally all day long. Like, can I please stop? Like, I need to shut the hell up. Also, another great thing to have is a palette knife. A palette knife is absolutely amazing for mixing color and also getting certain details on a canvas. Also texture, you can really slab on some of that paint, especially if you're working like with really thick body paint. Palette knife, I personally, this is the only palette knife I have, and it's the only one I'll ever use. I got this, it was super cheap and it's been through the mill with me, but it's how I like to do mountains, honestly, which I will eventually be showing you guys how I do mountains. But just make sure you have a palette knife. Again, it's a couple dollars for one of these, like super affordable and super cheap. So definitely put one of these into your collection in the beginning, and then they have all different shapes and sizes. And as you kind of like evolve in your painting career, you can absolutely start to add more palette knives and really be able to paint with them and get different textures and different edges and things like that. Oh my God. That was a lot to say. I knew brushes was gonna be a lot, which is why I wanted to like get it out of the freaking way, okay? Like I can't. Next up is you wanna have some like old towels or washcloths with you. I have an old towel. This towel has been with me for literally like, oh look, I did a snowflake the other day for my grandmother and it's like still on there. Like I can't. Like this towel has been with me for a couple years now maybe, I don't even know. And I always put down a towel and I always work on a towel. I always wipe my brushes off on it. I try not to use paper towels. I try to be as sustainable as possible. So I definitely like to use old towels. Once this one is like completely hard from like, you know, paint being on it and things like that, I'll throw it away and then I'll get a new one. But I try to just stick to like old washcloths and towels to make sure that I have something to wipe my brushes off, especially when they're really wet. That way I don't use paper towels and I'm not wasting a lot of, I'm not putting a lot of waste out there. So try to be as sustainable as possible. All right, so next up is going to be a palette. So I always worked from palette paper because the cleanup is so freaking easy. It's basically just a notebook of wax paper, and you can put it on there and then you tear it out and you throw it away with all your paint on it when you're done painting. But again, I try to be as sustainable as possible. I had those, the palette paper notebooks forever now, so I just used them all up. So I went out and bought myself an acrylic palette, like an actual artist palette. And although I hate it, and as you can see, I don't clean it off, I definitely miss my palette paper because I'm lazy. But again, we want to be more sustainable, so I absolutely have an acrylic palette. Plus, it's more economical. The palette paper notebook things are like pads of palette paper range. I think one was like $9 or $10 and it went up to like $12. and you have to keep purchasing them, whereas a palette, this was $8 and you buy it once and then you're done. So you can just kind of like use something to scrape the paint off, especially acrylic paint. My battery's definitely about to die, so definitely go out and get yourself a palette. And then comes the paints. So paints, I like Master Touch and I also like Liquitex. These two can be found at any craft store or art supply store or on Amazon as well. I absolutely love these. I'm gonna list the colors that you need to purchase down below. You actually only need 5 colors of paint. I'm gonna show you guys how to get all the colors. Just know that you only need 5 colors. Last 2 things that I think you need to start at least acrylic painting with me. Okay, with me, this is what I work with. An old cup to put water in. If you're doing oils, you need turpentine, which you need to keep inside of a jar with a lid on it, because you can reuse your turpentine until it kind of gets crummy. I just use an old Solo cup and I fill it with water, and that's that. And then if you like to prime your canvas, I do not prime my canvas. However, some people do, because it makes the texture a little bit smoother and the canvas just much easier to work with. You need a thing of gesso. This bottle of gesso originally was $25 or $30. I got it on sale for like $7 or $8. Look for the sales in the art supply stores. They're always there and you can always get things for a much cheaper price. So if you're gonna be acrylic painting with me, I would suggest having at least just a small thing of gesso to start with and prime your canvas with if you're just beginning, because again, that's going to prime your canvas. It's going to make it a lot smoother and a little bit easier to work with. I think a lot of times too, like, people just prefer it. It's really hard to get paint on the canvas and not have like little specks of white, because the texture is so rough on a canvas sometimes. So a lot of people like to have the gesso just in case. Me personally, I always have it. I don't technically use it, but I have it just in case. So even if you invest in a larger bottle of it, it's gonna last you a long time and you only need a small amount. Plus, if you mess up on something, that's actually how you just kind of go back over on a canvas, which as you can see, I kind of painted on this one because I started a painting and I absolutely hated it. So I actually just go back over with gesso, and instead of trying to kind of put more acrylic paint on top and paint on top of it. It's kind of like your eraser in acrylic painting, for me at least. I just like to kind of go over it with a good layer of gesso and erase everything that I had just done. Of course, when you go out and you purchase anything, you can purchase whatever color paints you want, you can get whatever palette you want, you can get whatever paintbrushes you want. You don't even have to work from an easel. You can lay it flat if you really want. Totally up to you guys. Whatever you feel comfortable with. This is a trial and error kind of thing. If you don't like something, I have done it where like I will buy brushes and I'm like, I absolutely hate these brushes. I need to try something else. It's absolutely trial and error. This is just what I've started with. There's a ton of other supplies that you can get. There's sponges. You can use an old toothbrush for specks. We'll go over that as we start painting, but just know that this is what I think you should be starting with, and I'll put everything down in the description box. I don't want to get ahead of myself, so let's stop there. Short video today. Okay, I want to like keep going and being like, oh my God, you have to get this, but I am going to stop myself. I love you all. I hope you come paint with me and my Bob Ross tendencies. I love you. Bye guys.